So generally, there are three types of methods that you can use to do microlocs. You have the twists, you have the braid, and then you have the interlock. There is another method, but for microlocs, I've never really seen it used that much, and that's the instant lock. That's the crochet, and that's because the hair is so thin. It's hard to crochet. So those are the major three methods, that you would use. Either a twist, a braid, or an interlock. So we're gonna do all of those, as we go down the road. So one thing you're gonna notice, women that have microlocs, they're like a sisterhood thing. I don't know. I don't understand it, but that's kind of how it is. Most people, when they start their journey, it's a big deal. For some people, it's spiritual. For them, maybe they're going through some personal things and, they are maybe embracing their naturalness or, whatever the case is. But you're going to find that most of your clients that are starting microlocs, they're on a journey. That's why it's called a journey. So when you deal with them, you're not talking to them like you're never gonna see them again, right? You're talking to them like you're seeing them next month or the next, month or whatever the case is. It's a beginning of a relationship, right? And that's good for your career because, that's how you're going to build a clientele. Most times when you're doing braids or weave, it's like a one-time thing, They'll come in this time, you might never see them again. But with microlocs, they're going to come back. They're going to come back to, get it maintained. Whenever they run into any challenge, they're going to come to you first, actually. They'll go to somebody else if you don't resolve it, right? If you can't resolve it, that's when they'll go to somebody else, but they'll be grumbling. I'll tell you that. It'll not be like, they won't be happy with it. So it's really good for you to know the kind of client, how do I say it? It's good for you to know the kind of relationship you're about to enter into. It's not about money. Money is like the byproduct of the whole situation, right? But you're just about to start a relationship with that client. The more you focus on that relationship and making sure like it's good and it's tight, the better the whole experience will be, the better the whole journey, will be. Like we said, the first thing, you're going to look at the hair, you're going to look at the curl pattern, then that's how you analyze the hair. Then you're going to look at the health of the hair. Okay? You're going to look at if their hair is healthy, if the hair is damaged, is it broken, is it uneven? Does it have split ends? Is it shedding? Are they going through some postpartum, hair loss? How are their edges? I hear that a lot. The edges. That's usually a big deal for most clients. So if the hair is breaking, you want to recommend, some type of moisture or protein treatment that they can do prior. Sometimes clients will come in asking, this is the consultation phase. They want to know, okay, am I a candidate? Is this something I can do? My hair is breaking. The only thing you can either do is offer to trim their hair. That's if you know how to trim the hair, right? If you don't, you can refer them to their regular stylist that does that. And then recommend that they get like a moisture treatment and a trim. I'm assuming you might not be washing the hair. Are you going to be washing the hair?
I want to.
Sorry?
Yeah, I would like to.
You would like to? Okay. So this is where you have to start looking into the licensing, part, because a shampoo is considered a chemical. Okay? It is a chemical. A shampoo is a chemical. A conditioner is a chemical. So for you to confidently handle those things, you want to make sure you cover yourself, because if something goes wrong and that client sues you, then you're going to have a little bit of a challenge. Okay? So I'm giving you professional advice, right? People still wash hair at home, but I have to still give you, the professional advice. So, if the hair is breaking, that's what you want to recommend: a moisture treatment, protein treatment, and a trim. If the hair is shedding, you want to talk to your client about their internal health, right? And so this is something you have to educate yourself, about. So what causes shedding? Yes, postpartum, just had baby, that will make hair to shed. Some medications will make hair shed, right? If, they're going through chemo, the hair is going to shed, right? If somebody's going through chemo, you don't want to start a new journey of Microlocs. You want to wait until, they're done. Then when they recover, then you guys can start, because you're going to put that new set in and it's just going to shed, right? So it's always good to ask these questions. So you want to have compassion and empathy for things like that, and you want to know how to diplomatically talk about it, right? Sometimes you'll see clients, they'll use words that are too sharp. You have to really learn how to enhance your vocabulary, right? And try not to be too direct. Like, I'll give you an example. If somebody has gray hair, I'm not going to say, oh, you have gray hair. I say you have friends. I like to soften it up a little bit. Yeah, I like to soften it up a little bit because they're already dealing with it, right? You want them to feel like you're their safe space, right? So very important. You want to learn how to put color into your vocabulary. Try to make complex situations very fun. Bring some humor into, your conversations. Okay? So that's shedding. So another issue is if they have low iron. That's a big deal.
Yes.
Right? Usually, like I would say 9 times out of 10, the iron is low. Right? So right away, you want to ask them, have they had their checkup, their annual checkup? If they haven't, encourage them to go and get that done and pay attention to their iron and thyroid and, all those levels. If they're not into that, recommend they see a naturopath. Right? So it's not like you're telling them what to do, but you're definitely recommending where they can go. Right? So you want to become familiar with the things naturopaths do. Right? The things they're good at. And naturopaths, they focus a lot on food, right? What you're eating, how you're eating it. I've seen a naturopath. I did a food sensitivity test. I did, what's this called? Candida cleanse, and that's when you have too much mold in your body, right? And the mold comes from bread, cake, carbs, and certain fruits.
I'm right there with you. I'm gonna do that.
Yes, because the yeast, right, in the bread, yeah. So, and certain fruits, right, like strawberries, blueberries, I don't know if you've ever had a strawberry, a blueberry or something that's about to get bad. You can taste the mold,
Yes.
right? Cantaloupes, some certain things. Like, I like fruit, but there's some certain fruits you have to kind of steer away from. So what will happen is you just have natural bloating. Right? So these are things naturopaths, help, with. And those come in handy when a person will tell you, well, I've seen my doctor and they didn't see anything, they didn't find anything. Recommend a naturopath, because 9 times out of 10, it has something to do with how they're eating, right? So you can get iron from the foods you're eating if you shift. So always try your best to encourage clients to eat healthy. And you don't have to feel bad if you don't personally eat healthy. Doesn't mean you can't give the advice for somebody to, to eat healthy, right? So always have that knowledge, right? Because once they have their Microlocs, the Microlocs are gonna look great because of what's happening inside. They're not going to look great because of your technique. No, they're going to look great because of the way they're balanced and they're eating right and they're drinking water and they have the right vitamins. So it's like a partnership between you and your clients. Okay? Because once they have them in, then they could still come to you and say, my hair's shedding, the locks are falling, right? So yes, this is the first step, that you're, seeing the client, but after, when things happen, these are the, the roots of the problem. So after you've now went through the health of their hair, now you're going to look at their density. Right? The density of the hair. And density just means, like in a square little cube, how many hair follicles are inside that square cube. Does that make sense? Right? So either their density is fine, it's medium, or it's thick, or it's normal. Right? So fine or thin. I wouldn't want to use thin. I would use fine. I would use fine, normal, or thick. Or I would just use a lot. You have a lot of hair, right? That's fine. Never say you have too much hair, please. Never think like you have too much hair or too little hair, right? So again, the density is going to determine the size of your parting. Right? The curl pattern is really going to determine the method you're going to use, and then the density is going to determine the size of your parting. So if somebody has fine hair, by default, you want to use medium parts. You don't want to really go with small parts. So we're going to get into the sizing. I'm just, telling you, just in general, why it's important, to know. Somebody that has thick hair, they can do whatever they want. They can have small, they can have medium, they can have large, but you want to let them know if they have a lot of hair and they want small, they're going to have a lot of locks, right? And that can be a challenge with your reties, right? The time. And so you also want to think about the time you're going to be spending with reties, because in the beginning, when we started, we were doing these really super tiny, parts. The small was really small. But with time, when they came in for the retie, we're like, okay, this is not practical. They look nice, but it's not practical. You're going to be spending like 6 hours, and it's not fun for the client too. They don't want to be spending the whole day each time they come, to get their hair done. So you want to put that into perspective, but then remember, I said it's up to you what you want to do. If you're okay with that, that's fine. It just means that you're the stylist that people come to when they want super thin, super fine locks. There's nothing wrong with it, right? But I'm just saying for me, what I eventually found is, when you make the parts too small, it takes too much time. Yeah. So you want to put that in perspective. Now with sister locks, I know that they get small. They get really, really small. And so then the next thing we want to analyze is the scalp, right? That's the next thing we want to analyze. So what we're looking for is a clean scalp, right? Without dandruff. We don't want dandruff. So if a client comes and they have dandruff, you have to address that issue, because what's going to happen is that the dandruff is going to lodge into the locks and they're going to smell. Yes, they will smell, and they will end up with a dull appearance. And sometimes if you look at a person's lock, you see white things, right? And they will never come out, right? Yes, they never come out. So you want to address dandruff when a client says they have it. So there are a couple remedies you can recommend. The first thing is they want to get a dandruff shampoo. There are many different ones on the market. I'm not going to recommend any, but I'm going to advise you to do research, right? And see which ones you personally like, right? And the reason being, because you're not licensed, that's why I don't want to do that. You can recommend from your own personal experience, from your own personal research. So you can point them in a direction. You know, L'Oreal has a good one. Most of the major salon brands have, something for dandruff. I use Aveda products and they have something for that, right? So based on the line I use, that's what I'm recommending. Or I would tell them to go to Shoppers. Like I said, I there's one I keep forgetting. It's small. Nizoral. Okay, yes, Nizoral. Yeah, that one by default is, good. We even have it in the salt. I don't have it, here because this is what I use, but Nizoral is really good and people can get it. And I think L'Oreal has like Tifol or something like that, that they can use. That's really good.
I saw online, I don't know if it's true, in the beginning you have to put the shampoo with water and you have to spray and you're braiding on, when you wash your hair. And
the braid and band?
Yeah. You see to put apple cider vinegar on it.
Yes, so this is the next solution. Okay. So the first one is your dandruff shampoo, anti-dandruff shampoo. The second one is the apple cider rinse. And what you're going to do is you're going to get a bottle, like a spray bottle, and you're going to do half and half water, half apple cider vinegar. And the water has to be distilled or bottled water, not tap water. Okay? And then they'll spray that on the scalp.
So is it bottled, not distilled?
Distilled. Yeah, distilled or bottled spring water, whatever, in a bottle. As long as you buy the water, just don't take it from the tap. Yeah, and then you just do half and half. And so what you can do is you can spray that on the scalp and then do your shampoo. I think that's what you don't mix it with the shampoo. Oh, okay. You do it separately. Okay. You just spray it and then do the shampoo. It's usually a rinse.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so you can do it after the shampoo or before the shampoo, whichever way.
How long do you have to let it sit?
A few minutes, I would say. Yeah. I think that's why they just call it a rinse, because it's just running through, your hair. It's not something you spray during the day and leave it on.
Oh,
no, it's something before you wash your hair. And what that does, it balances the pH of your scalp. So normally your skin, your scalp has a pH of 7, right? When it's too acidic or too alkaline, that's when you have the imbalance of that. And imbalance sometimes comes with your product. If the product that you're using doesn't go with your, your natural flow, your natural balance, that's when things imbalance. So the rinse is supposed to balance, your scalp. All right. Then aloe vera gel. So they can make it If they're making it, they're gonna go to the grocery store, get the aloe, skin it, blend it, and then you're gonna use like a, what's it called? Cheese. Yes, right? And then they're gonna separate the juice from the pulp. They have to double do it, and they can keep that in the fridge. So before they shampoo, they'll get that concoction, put it on their scalp, let it sit for a little bit, and then do the shampoo. Some people can, or you can buy the 99% aloe vera gel from this, from the beauty supply place or Amazon or whatever, and you could use that too. So that should take care of dandruff.